We welcome you to the Maze, no matter who or what you are. There is nobody going to be saying you're part of this or you're part of that. If you're an Ulster man, you're welcome. Or woman, you're welcome to this protest against the Maze. No more divide and conquer. United we stand. And that's why I have asked all shades of unionism. I've spoken to people from all walks of life within the unionist community. Let them be loyalists, let them be bands, let them be DUP, Unionist Party, and they're all saying that they're against this. This is about your country. And unfortunately, the only ones that have turned me down has been the DUP, and some of them unwillingly, because they are against it. But they are welcome. It's not going to be a shouting match against the DUP. This is about uniting ourselves against the enemy of Ulster. So everybody is welcome. And I dare anybody tell me that will the be Loyalist paramilitaries be at it? You have a cheek, before you would even ask me that question, to ask it, given the fact you have the butcher of the Bogside second in charge of this country. And anybody would dare ask me, is Loyalist paramilitaries welcome to it? You've created the situation in this country. I'm saying it's now time for the people to stand united together. Not behind me. Tom Elliott will speak at this. Jim Allister will speak at it. There's somebody from UPIC will speak at it. And one or two other victims. And people have been asked from the DUP, and their answer has been, Willie, we would love to stand up and speak out, but our resignation is held by the First Minister. So I'm not going to get into the slanging match about the DUP, because this is about our country. This is not about a party. I don't care what party or what you belong to, or what band you're in, or what outfit you're in. This is about Ulster. This is about what our children are going to have to listen to. This is about the glorification of the butchery of the Unionist and Loyalist and Ulster people. Now we either accept it or we stand up and do something about it. I know I certainly didn't come through 40 years of what I came through to stand up and let the butchers glorify and romanticise their dirty stinking murderers campaign. Not only in Crossmaglen will they do it, they're going to do it in the heart of the Loyalist community in Lisburn. They're going to do it in among the middle of the Loyalist people. There's a lot of good people in Lisburn, a lot of good people who certainly are not on for this. And there's no point, folks, whenever this is up and this is all rolling, there's no point in saying we shouldn't have let that happen. You're being told now it's just going to be the glorification of the IRA for the next generation. And what it'll do, it'll create the next generation of terrorists. Because if you glorify and romanticise something, what do you expect? Our children and our children's children will have to listen to the freedom fighters of Ireland, what they did because the British were so bad to them. Why? Because British taxpayers' money is given to them to do it. Waking up. I know there's a lot of genuine people out there. I just wish that some of the people within the DUP, some of the senior people would stand up that have told me in the past, and not that long ago, that, well, you can't let this happen. But who am I? I'm only Joe Bloggs. Of course we can't let it happen. But it's going to take the people to turn around and say, no. We can have a conflict centre, bulldoze the rest of it. But do not create a shrine. The Maze is being kept for a particular reason, and that is to glorify the hunger strikers. If it was this conflict centre on its own, we'd all have to grin and bear it, and it's up to everybody. You're on a level playing field, and everybody will have the same opportunity. But there's no recreating of the Kingsmill minibus. There's no recreating of the Gospel Hall. There's no recreating of the Shankill bomb or of the Le Mans Hotel, or if the T-Bahn bus being blew up, or the minibus on the fun run, there's going to be none of them there, with the bodies lying all over the roads, with the bullet holes in them, or blew apart. That's not going to be there for people to see, but what you will have is cells and beds and the romantic story and the music playing in the background. How sad. They created their own situation. Let them live with it. And I'm saying this to the First Minister and that team that's around him. I've heard you out over the years. I actually guarded your home. So I have nothing against you personally. But you have taken a road that is destroying this country, that is glorifying the men that butcher our families. What more can I say about that? And you're bringing the IRA into the heart of Lisburn. I know everybody doesn't think like me, but people, if you want to have your children listen to the glorification of what the IRA did and the demonisation of what you didn't do, because you will be demonised. You will be to blame for what happened. And how can you not be if you allow them to stand and tell this romantic, sad story of these poor boys lying, giving their lives for Ireland? There'll be no story about the poor people they left with the bullet holes in their heads, or their bodies blew apart on the road, or indeed the people who was burnt to death in some of the buildings that they blew up. I know for quite a few years this maze has been talked about, and whenever I got on quite well with quite a few people within the DUP, I know that they do not want this maze project. This maze project has been agreed within OFM DFM. The First Minister has agreed to this project for whatever reason I do not know. There's good men within the DUP and women within the DUP who do not want this project, who would love to see that place bulldozed and it never seeing the light of day. I know that. But the First Minister has made a decision that our children will have to listen to these people glorifying the butchery of their fathers and their grandfathers. That's who will have to listen to this. Not so much me and you, but our children's children. That's who will be listening to this. And the people to blame for it is the First Minister and the people within that department. Build the rest of the place. Bring the jobs. Bring the infrastructure into Lisburn. Just get rid of that den that has got a dark, dark history that should never see the light of day, and especially should never be allowed to be glorified by the IRA, because that's what they will do with it. I have to ask the question, no matter what shade of loyalism you speak to, and I have been speaking to quite a few shades of loyalism, matter of fact I would say probably most shades, and they don't want this. Why is Peter doing this? Why is the First Minister doing what he is doing? Because the Unionist people, the Loyalist people, Protestant people, and indeed the ordinary decent Roman Catholics do not want this shrine at the Maze. They may want to see the investment at the Maze, they may want to see the RDS moved out to the Maze, whatever, different projects going on in the Maze. They want to see all that, of course they do. Why would they not? But they do not want to see this shrine. And like I say again, I have spoken to senior politicians out over the years who have said to me, who are members of the DUP, who have said, Willie, if this is allowed to go ahead, it will be a shrine. They know it, but they daren't speak out. They daren't open their mouth because they'll be disciplined. Willie, remember, they've got our resignations in their pocket. And at this protest or rally or whatever you want to call it, and people say, will you get a crowd because the days of Protestants turning out is over. I don't know. I don't know if we get a crowd. But I know we have to do something. And at least whenever I look back in history, or my son looks back in history, or whoever's standing there, they can say, well, at least my father or my grandfather tried to put a stop to it. The blame will not lie with them. And it certainly will not lie with me, or people like me. It will lie with the First Minister and his cronies around him. They've done everything they can to demonise and destroy the innocent victims that dare speak out. People like myself now, we are deemed the hardliners. That's what they're calling us, the hardliners. Sorry, the hardliners. The pensioners and the widows are now an army. That's what they're portraying us as. They talk about Willie Fraser's army. 90-year-old pensioners, widows, people who are disabled, some army. I'll tell you one thing, it's an army that nobody volunteered to go into. And that's an army that has suffered greatly. They're the victims, that's who they are. They're not an army. They're the remains of what these butchers did to our community.